So here's the screenshots that I completely forgot about, but honestly the part 1 was too long anyway. I'm going to link this video in the description. My first time watching this was years ago. In fact, I'm pretty sure I say this a lot, but that thing I say about how people commonly first become homeless by themselves somewhere from age 7 to 16, I found that out a really long time ago, way before I even ended up out here. I remember I used to mention that back on the evidence channel sometimes when I was still doing those. But, anywho, I can barely see this. Oh yeah, the video was about this dude who was in foster care. I think he was like 20 at the time or something like that. He was talking about how he had been homeless since 7. And so, of course, people are going to act like that doesn't happen and do the usual not in my America bull crap. The reason why you won't really see homeless people under 18 or really probably even the ones who are like 20 younger that much is because they really try to lay low more, and especially if you're under 18 you have to lay low or else you'll get kidnapped by the police and thrown into the lower branches of the cash for kids system and maybe even put back in whatever situation you left or were kicked out of. Of course he is full of crap. You are naive to think a 7-year-old would be able to hitchhike and train hop. That is just crazy. People seem to not understand that human beings are made to try to survive regardless of what's going on. And I think it also has to do with the I don't know if it's just Western world or like, but I know in America at least, I think it has to do a lot with like how people just feel like younger people are just stupid, and it has something to do with ageism, but also how people pretty much coddle their kids to really not know how to do anything for themselves, and then if their parents like die or something, then the kid is left to like have breakdowns and not know what to do from that point on, and things are pretty much over for them because people don't really teach their kids stuff that they should. Like the youth resource center I go to, the staff in there 25 plus and the manager lady's like 50, and they admit that they can barely cook. Like the 50-year-old manager lady, she said she just learned how to cook fish. And stuff like that is just a small example of my point that I'm making. I'm definitely not saying the 7-year-old should have to be in this situation, but like, due to people coddling their kids so much, especially in certain places, they've forgotten that people can actually do things and aren't quote unquote retarded like people like to say around here because of the mental illness obsession. Like, the only time people actually admit that, I don't know, people in their 20s and younger actually could do stuff for themselves is when they're trying to use that for like some pro chomo rhetoric. But yeah, anyway. Some years back I met this dude that I call the Guadalajara meth addict. And he was kicked out by his mom ever since he was 7. He had to quote unquote prostitute to get money for food, and of course the police would lock him up even though they knew he wasn't allowed to go home, so he was in and out of jail. Then he got dragged into the whole military cash for kids system branch because he had no other options, and he went through the trauma-based mind control there, of course, and now he's pretty much a narc, as people would say. He admits that. Although one good thing is that he didn't end up homeless, because commonly after all this stuff and then you go into the military, you end up just thrown back out on the streets. He was able to get some money and move to Mexico, and I mean, that's something. He says he lives in the most dangerous part though, but like I said, that's something, because commonly that even all goes left and then the military just throws the person back out on the streets too. Then in the middle, there's some stupid, weird comment that makes no sense, has nothing to do with Jack. And then the last comment, in the Philippines, you see a lot of kids living in the streets. Okay, I was trying to make a point, but I keep messing up and having to start over. So I may just have to summarize this because I can't really figure out how to say what I'm wanting to say. But in the other countries, or at least some of them, I don't know about like every place, obviously, but from the ones that I do see and hear about, the thing is, they don't have to worry about police officers coming and arresting them and charging them for being a fugitive and a runaway, for being homeless underage, or for being homeless in general. So their homeless kids can actually like, I don't know, how do I say it? They can be out there pretty much. Not saying that that's a good thing, but in the U.S., when someone's homeless under 18, they have to hide and do even more risky stuff because they already can't work. I don't really know about working laws in too many places, but there's a lot I can say about the whole work thing. They may be a missing person. They may not even be a missing person, but either way, when you're homeless under 18, the police are gonna like snatch you up if they see you. Some of them. There are a few that like are nice enough to not throw you in jail, but I mean, you gotta find those. And they'll try to throw you into the lower branches of the Cash for Kids system, or maybe even they'll throw you in the higher level, which you can get into that through CPS too. And if they don't get you locked up somewhere long term, like if they don't throw you into a TTR or mental facility or throw you in prison or back in whatever situation you left or got kicked out of, then the least the police will do if you're homeless under 18 is keep giving you charges back to back of bull crap that probably didn't even happen. And that's really common. Like, so many people in situations like that, they get all their charges once they become homeless. Sometimes before, depending on their abuse situation, because there's lots of types of abusers that like to throw a whole bunch of false charges on their victims. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, other than that, my point is, in the other countries, the kids don't have to like worry about being charged and jailed and all that stuff. At least not for this. Like, I think even in Canada, if you leave home, you can't be forced back. And if you're somewhere safe, you can't be forced back either. So, yeah. And I think that's a good enough summary. Now, I can't say that there definitely is orphanage issues everywhere, and that even in the other countries, the kids can, like, end up in orphanages and then end up getting trafficked or get trafficked to CPS and then brought to America and all that stuff that goes along with that. So that's an issue. But from what I've seen, the police aren't really running around jailing and charging people and forcing them into orphanages and mental facilities or TTIs or any of those other things. It was his decision. A ton of people tried to help him, and he's selfish that he would rather do drugs. There's so much I could say about this. He's selfish, or he doesn't want to get attached to a whole bunch of risky people that are probably molesters. And I'm also wondering, is he saying people tried to help him recently? Years ago? At what point? And, what else? Oh, yeah. What do they even mean by quote unquote help? That's another question. The first comment is like, it's kind of true. Definitely to a certain extent. But from the stories I do hear, it's like, I don't know, like I've been saying for years, the people who really claim that they have the mental state and the financial ability or just the situation to quote unquote help never want to. They always have different excuses. But then that means that the people who do come in and actually do a little stuff here and there to quote unquote help are either risky people or people who are in their own situation that can either barely help or that'll drag the kid into a worse situation. The last comment just confuses me because he literally said his parents died, which is why he was in foster care in the first place. I'm not gonna lie, I really hope the third comment is a joke. Is that the same person that said that white privilege crap the first time? As if that has anything to do with this situation whatsoever. It kind of reminds me of that lady who gave me a little advice in that video I had from when I was getting smear campaigned everywhere. And then, for whatever reason, she somehow seen people wanting to essay her as white privilege, and I'm just thinking that is not what that is. That's really weird. But anywho, because I can barely see, this is a testament to how horrible the foster care system is. And then this person had a nerve to say this most likely 9 out of 10 cognitive dissonance, brainwashed bullcrap. Not really. I was in foster care and went to like 3 separate homes. As if that's even a good thing. And all of them were good people, so I wouldn't say the whole system. Well, even if you go, wait a minute, even if you run into a few nice people in there, still, the system, the cash for kids system as a whole, in and of itself, literally is human trafficking, regardless of what. And then they label and drug you in and all that other stuff. And they probably just have cognitive dissonance anyway. And it's also really crazy that someone could even say something like this, as if 99% of people's foster care stories aren't horror stories. So, like, the fact that they can act like what they claim happened with them is even common. And yes, I'm definitely saying claim because a lot of people have really bad cognitive dissonance. Because, I mean, I can only imagine what they think actually even is being quote-unquote nice with the fact that they grew up in foster care. It's insane how he was homeless at 7. He hitchhiked and has survived the streets since 2nd grade. That shows how insanely strong and smart this kid is. One thing I'll say though is that commonly the people who end up in these situations are already anointed / prophetic from birth, so that also gives them certain characteristics. But then the second thing is that when you have to live like this, you have to be smart. So, like, kind of like that whole thing people say about traumatized kids where they'll be like, you're wise beyond your years and all that. Now, I will definitely say it's a gift to a certain extent already, but then you kind of have to go the extra mile due to the situation you're in. How did he manage to even eat since he was 7? What? So, I don't even remember what video I was watching. I can't remember if it was like the original Soft White Underbelly interview or if it was from some other video about this kid. But someone in the comments had mentioned that they had seen him in a video on some YouTube channel called, I don't remember, but I'll put it in the description. And so I decided to watch the video, or at least look for the video. And of course, the comments were filled with a whole bunch of bullcrap about him. People doing the usual mental illness obsession bullcrap and claiming he's schizophrenic and autistic. The usual 2 labels people love to throw around. He's not even old enough to be schizophrenic. But people's usual. I'm not gonna lie though. Maybe I didn't pay enough attention to this video, but there was so much going on and people were talking so quietly. I couldn't really tell what was even being said. So I don't even know how people think they gathered enough info to start throwing around mental labels. But, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, all these people are chomos. Especially that lady, and I think this is the lady that he claimed was quote-unquote taking him under her wing. She's just another molester. They probably all are, most likely, but she definitely is. And then people in the comments, I guess, look up to these people, which really just seem like a whole bunch of messed up people running around who don't know what to do or how, and are just looking for somebody else to drag into their cycle. That's what I got out of this, and I'm pretty sure this is a channel that I've watched one or two videos of from before. And it mostly just exploits or seems to exploit like really broken, messed up, quote unquote, stereotypical homeless people. That's what it seemed like, because I'm pretty sure I've seen videos of the police standing around talking to some homeless lady who was like really messed up, and she was running around yelling or something. I think this is the same channel. But yeah, for whatever reason, people are like victim blaming him and then taking up for these people and saying that these chomo people who are around him, quote unquote, taking him under their wing, need to be protected from him. And they're claiming he's going to kill them and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's like, did I miss something? But all of it's bullcrap. And I know that like the drug issue is getting bad everywhere, even in multiple countries like Australia, other places I can't remember the name of right now. But I would definitely say, like, going through a whole bunch of mess and then being on the West Coast is probably the worst place for it, because it's so easy to get your hands on so much stuff. So much stuff. Like I said, I've met so many foster kids who have been addicted to heroin and a whole bunch of stuff since they were 8. 14-year-olds, even people who aren't homeless, who are addicted to LSD and that Stroom stuff, all that. Anyway, Billy is very angry, and he's going to be a problem for Daisy and everyone involved, including himself, if he doesn't take responsibility. Take responsibility for what? Being SA'd? For the adults in society and people not caring about each other and not knowing that people like him are supposed to be taken in and actually raised by somebody, not just left on the streets to hang around a whole bunch of people that he shouldn't be around. She needs to take responsibility. He wants to live like an adult, act like one. What do they mean, live like an adult? That kind of reminds me of the whole grown term in the South that's commonly used for kids who are acting out sexually due to trauma, but also just for kids who like really want to have a better life for themselves and not be like the abusers around them, or even just people around them who are just into a lot of mess. But it also reminds me of how the term grown is commonly used in the weirdest situations, like people saying pretty much, don't prostitute when you're young, prostitute when you're older, and act grown when you're actually grown. It's so stupid, the whole grown term and the way it's used. But I don't understand how him having to escape a situation and now being constantly taken advantage of is him wanting to be an adult. I'm praying for you, Billy. You need Jesus. This is a whole bunch of bull crap. Straight bull crap. A really crazy comment. So, of course, she's doing the whole little religious insult at the end. And there's so much I could say. So much I could say. But that's the thing with the religious people. In fact, I meant to say something about that whole angel watching over him comment a while back. And I'm trying to figure out how to summarize this. Now, of course, like I mention all the time, I believe in Yahweh, but I'm not into the religious stuff for a lot of reasons. For one, I don't even like the false doctrine that's taught, and how none of the religious people actually believe in, like, Yahweh or any of that stuff. They just do religion for the stuff that people do religion for. But another thing I noticed, and there's so much I could say about this, atheists and people that are in these NWO religious organizations with the spirit of religion, they're really the same regardless of what they think. They even use some of the same talking points, like where people see bad things happening, but instead of doing something themselves and people coming together to do something, they start putting responsibility elsewhere, and like saying, well, I hope that the angels do this and I hope that God does that and God fix it. And I mean, of course that'll happen, but all that is just people throwing responsibility everywhere else. That's all that is. Like, you can fix it. God is not, he never said that he was going to be the person to come step down feet first on earth to start punching people in the face and stuff. And I mean, sure, judgment will happen, and we already have been in the judgment dispensation, and America's judgment is here. In fact, the whole West Coast is about the flood and a whole bunch of stuff anyway, which I need to make a video talking about that for due to different things that go on there and different things that go on in the U.S. in general. And I mean, yeah, there's all that, but all that is still people throwing accountability and responsibility everywhere else. It's honestly really annoying. And of course, there's so much stuff wrong with the way she said this, obviously, but like, you're talking about he needs Jesus, and it's good to actually know God, not the religious bull crap, but what people like him need is people like you to not be the way you're being right now, and for society to actually step up and do something, not throw responsibility everywhere else while watching a situation take place when you could intervene and stop it. In fact, like the Bible says, faith without works is dead. Obviously, people making comments like that don't have faith in Jack, but if she did have faith, what she needs to do is start working and go get him and help him. Not do the stupid stuff she's doing right now. In fact, that's a Caesar Borgia type comment, but I'm not even gonna go into that. Then this person said he's headed no place fast. People have so much junk to talk, but just like with the whole people losing their mind and becoming like really mentally / spiritually messed up, this can be stopped in the process. People can be helped, and going downhill is a process. But one thing I'll say though, just like I said in the part 1 about him wanting to get emancipated, really, regardless of whether he does something quote unquote bad or not, due to his trauma symptoms, with the way the systems are set up, people like him are the targets to be thrown through the prison pipeline, through the cash for kids system pipeline, for no reason. He's seen as a dollar sign to these systems, regardless of what he does or doesn't do. Just like I used to say way back when, regardless of what I do or don't do, I'm in trouble anyway. Because that's really how it is in these situations. You need to stay away from minors. Police will come down on you for helping. Quote unquote helping. People know that all these people are doing is essaying him. And that's the thing, like I've been saying for years, obviously it's really not illegal, because if it was, these people would get charged and go to jail, but they never do. But he's the one in and out of jail. Meanwhile, he's being kidnapped and essayed by random people, random women, seems like on a daily basis. I'm sure even dudes, but commonly guys won't want to mention that part. And it's all really messed up. But of course, they're not going to go to jail though. And none of these people are helping anyway. But what was I about to say? Oh yeah, and then people say stuff like this, and it's like, helping isn't going to get you in trouble by the police. The police don't care anyway. The only thing the police care about is getting him so they can make some money off of him. But other than that, they don't care. Don't ever try to be that, oh, I'm just going to mind my business person because I don't want to go to jail for helping. You're not going to go to jail for giving somebody a sandwich or something. If police cared and there was actually a system put in place to help, he wouldn't have ever been in the situation he was in that he had to escape in the first place. And the foster care thing wouldn't have went how it went. But what people have to understand is that society's supposed to help, not throw responsibility on the police. If you see somebody getting abused or something, you call the police are going to tell you that's not our job to do anything. In fact, there's this one dude on YouTube and some other social medias who I found out about a couple years ago, long story. He calls himself the Advocate of America. In one of his little documentary videos, he records the police saying that they supposedly do want to help abused kids, but they can't because they can't do anything about it because it's not really their job and they're not allowed. So, yeah. I really hope I have a screenshot of the second comment, but I don't know. But it seems like something that's some more bullcrap to talk about. So this person said another one obsessed with himself, only he's a younger person. Watching his interview, you sure he's 14, looks older and underdeveloped. Why do people always do this? This is the thing that goes along with people trying to act like there are no homeless kids in America and like people don't commonly start off in the same situation he's in. So when people do make interviews like that and they're underage, people will always be in the comments saying, "Oh, they're not really 12, they're 35." First of all, that's chomo stuff. But people always do that in situations like this. This is really common, where the person will obviously be like 10, younger than they even say they are. And people will be like, "Oh no, they're lying. They're 18 plus, they're 20." And also, like, what's really the difference between somebody being 17 or 18 or 19? But I'm not even going to go into that part. Anywho, I see another narcissist in the making. This is one of the reasons why I hate that the term narcissist has blown up the way it has since like 2020. Because now anybody's using it, and somebody making this empathy lacking comment has the nerve to act like they don't also have the Jezebel Leviathan and other spirits. And also, how is he obsessed with himself? He's just trying to survive. But I'm not even going to go into that part. That's some stupid stuff. Narcissist in the making. Interesting how he told Daisy to shut up. That's no way to start a relationship. Keep Ben away from that kid, please. Maybe I need to look more into who Ben is, but what do you mean start a relationship? So the essay is okay, and he's just doing domestic violence? Is that what you're saying right now? And then there's his first comment. I do wonder if how many of these comments are like racially motivated. Of course, a lot of them are going to revolve around ageism and the pro chomo stuff, where when a kid wants to escape a bad situation, then they're being grown, and then they're bad, and then they're quote unquote child trying to be grown. But then people say that they're an adult or they're mature enough to handle themselves when they ask for help or when they're getting thrown into the systems like jail for no reason. People be like, they're old enough to do the crime, the quote unquote crime, so they can do the time and all of that mess. But yeah, and then people wonder why the floods and stuff are coming. But this person said, "Kid is a waste of humanity. He will end up in prison for the rest of his life." Probably not by the fault of his own, but either way, this could be stopped. This is straight up child abuse, seriously. I lock my front door from now on if I was all good. I thought they were all homeless though. Poor kid, he needs real adults in school. He'll get the same indoctrination in school that he's getting from all the groomers he's around now. But I'm not even gonna go into that. Poor kid, he's choosing his own direction. And here people go. That's the funny thing with society and how like the family system's been torn apart. The man has been the man has been turned against the woman, and then the man and the woman against the kid. People really seem that like they forgot how family and raising kids and not abusing kids is actually supposed to go. But I'm not even gonna go into all that again. You have no idea how trauma affects the brain to say that. They act like they're trying to like, I don't know, take up for the kid with the beginning of this comment, but I don't even know if I screenshotted the rest, but it was really some more mess and more mental illness, obsession, insults, and crap. Society has a lot to learn about how to heal things like neurofeedback would be very helpful here. It is not the person that is the problem, it is their brain. That's all bullcrap. It's the groomers around them, the systems put in place to take advantage of them in their abuse situation. That's the problem. And as far as the whole mental illness trauma stuff, that's not even a physical thing, that's spiritual. So the brain thing is some more mess. Trauma literally causes soul fractures, but people are always going to have their mess to say. And the fact that she tried to act like this comment really made anything better when it comes to all the insults he was getting, but I guess maybe she had good intentions. The kid is on the run in the exact place the police found him, with the same losers they found him with. He isn't very good at the on the run thing. That's not completely wrong though. That's exactly why I have videos about how to actually leave an abuse situation the right way, or at least the best way you can, because when you don't really have rights or options, you can only do but so much, but definitely what he's doing is not the right way whatsoever. But I do get, due to the things that some people have been through, their mindset, just how they are sometimes and things like that, people commonly don't really know what to do. And like, even if you don't end up running around with a whole bunch of molesters, not that that's necessarily their fault, but even if that doesn't happen, you don't end up on a whole bunch of drugs or any drugs, you commonly still do end up like kind of in a limbo type phase, because when you don't have a family or anything, you don't really know what to do or where to go. So people can still like at least get stuck in the whole vagabond cycle. But some things are definitely worse situations than others, because you are supposed to leave a bad situation and try to put yourself in a better one, or make the most decent one for yourself. And I definitely would say that, like, the situation he has going right now isn't good, but it's really because of all the groomers that are popping up, because they're the ones that are dragging him off and kidnapping him and stuff. This person said a pack of crazies, and I don't even know what else to say. Mental illness obsession comment there, and then below there is two. I don't know if I screenshotted the rest of this, but they say reminds me of a kid I used to work with. Cash for Kids system staff. So there's that part. Emotionally disturbed. Some days are good, some days are bad, no matter how hard. Oh yeah, I think I remember the rest of this. It said no matter how hard you try. First of all the people that he's around are molesters. So what do you mean no matter how hard you try? How hard they try to do what? Assault? How hard they try to groom him? How hard they try to give him drugs? How hard? I mean, this is so annoying to be truthfully honest. Then the term emotionally disturbed, like the attachment issues he would have. Emotionally disturbed is another bullcrap term that, of course, is used for traumatized kids. It's commonly used in the Cash for Kids system when they don't really want to use too many specific labels due to whatever reason. And so they'll just call kids emotionally disturbed, which commonly also has some racial stuff tied into it. And their account says Black Queen, yet they're working in the Cash for Kids system, which is a system made based off of eugenics by thelemic chomos like Sigmund Freud and Dr. Money, and also has labels like runaway slave syndrome / dryptomania. Which, of course, when you do run away from an abuse situation under 18, or even 18 plus if you're in like a conservatorship or something, the way that you're treated for leaving that situation is similar to like, wait a minute, the labels that you'll get put on you, like fugitive and all that, is similar to the dryptomania label in a way. But yeah, so more mess, Willie Lynch syndrome and more mess. Okay, so I did screenshot the rest. He needs a placement ASAP. So she wants him thrown in the Cash for Kids system. But these are the people that call themselves Black Queens though, but all they do is push eugenics. That's exactly why I said, just like with white supremacy, I won't believe that anybody gives a crap about anybody that looks like them until somebody goes and helps these kids that look like them. Other than that, it's all mess. This and white supremacy is all a joke. Nobody gives a crap about anybody until somebody actually starts helping these people that they claim they love so much, and that are queens and Aryans and all that. Not with no Daisy Cuckoo head on the streets. That was kind of funny. But yeah, so basically what this says, which is a common rhetoric, screw the people that have been messed up and traumatized. Screw the kids that need parents. Let's just lock everybody up and throw them in jail and drug them and strip them and tie them to beds where they get essayed by people like Sigmund Freud and call it a day. which is what a placement is, quote unquote. He doesn't need a placement, he needs a family. This kid is a danger to the public, and he could end up trying to do some bad stuff to Daisy friends. They're already molesting him, so honestly, somebody needs to do something to somebody. Because I wonder if this is the same lady that kidnapped him. But actually, no, because I think he claimed he met her when he was working under the table for some concert. It was something like that. But she's still molesting him, though, regardless. And probably the other people are. It's all really sick. But of course, all people want to do is victim blame. The kid belongs in a secure unit where he can't harm others. Okay, but if he belongs in a secure unit, then where does Daisy belong? It's all just sickening. Like, I've met so many kids that have been thrown into the quote-unquote secure units, the padded rooms that have always been used for torture, or just like those little isolation rooms. You get stripped, you get tied to a bed, you commonly get essayed, and even get a needle in the butt or something. Like, I've met people who have gotten thrown into placements like that, have gotten thrown into rooms like that, in different Cash for Kids system placements for crying. And, in this one special ed type placement, and I think it was a part of the GNet system, this one boy ended up hanging himself in one. And usually in placements like this, it's the staff or the drugs that they force people on that end up killing them. The way Daisy keeps touching and hugging this street kid is gross. John's virtue signaling masochism is cringe. I don't know what that means, I'm not gonna lie. And this little trio is toxic. People are literally forced into becoming a quote-unquote menace as a survival mechanism, though. This doesn't have to happen. People are just really messed up. The people saying this, all they're really doing is projecting, actually. They're projecting. All of the comments is a bunch of projectile vomiting. That's what it is. Projectile vomiting with diarrhea. This really doesn't have to happen. And the worst thing is, he's already being essayed and kidnapped by so many people. But due to how things are set up, if he defends himself and he did have to really hurt somebody to get out of one of these situations, of course he's going to be framed. And then people will be like, that's exactly what I said. People are sick anyway. And yeah. I like how they waited until they were being filmed to tell Billy that the authorities were called. It's all for clicks and views. This crap show was sick. I have a lot of questions about that. Kind of confused, but this kid is violent and very manipulative. And no one is helping. They're enabling him. All he's doing is copying them. He's manipulative while being groomed. He's just learning stuff from the groomers and, of course, his relatives that he was around. In situations like this, though, or when you, leave an abuse situation in general, you always have to ignore background noise. You always have to wonder about the siblings and other people that are still stuck in the abuse. It sounds like he was a scapegoat, though, because I remember, in his interview thing, he said that when he got out of the hospital after getting hit by a car, he asked his siblings if they missed him, and they didn't say anything. And that sounds like a scapegoat situation. But that still doesn't mean that, things aren't happening to them, because, of course, that's how the family systems are. Everybody goes through trauma. Some people become enablers after going through abuse to become a golden child, and the golden child's going through their own stuff. It's all really messy. Billy is a child. Let the professionals deal with him. The professional Cash for Kids system staff. But these people definitely don't need to be around him, though. And that's the thing, though. These are the only people that will come around to quote-unquote help. That's where all the issues come in, especially when somebody's already really desperate and really wants parents and all that. Daisy and the band of misfits can't take care of themselves. What makes them think they can take care of Billy? Daisy is no help. Stay away from a 14-year-old boy. His hormones are in high gear. And that's just a weird victim blaming type comment to act like he's causing the essay and the grooming. That kid is schizophrenic. This kind of reminds me of the other couple of really outlandish mental illness obsession American comments. And later on down the line, there's a comment where somebody claimed he's autistic too. But I don't even really know where they got this. Like I had said, he's not even old enough to be schizophrenic. Either way, it's all trauma symptoms, but people always have some crap to say because this mental illness obsession that's going on, especially in the Western world, but really everywhere is spreading to where it's all being normalized because that's all this mental illness talk is about and all these made up labels is about normalizing all of it. That's all it is. But that's some bull crap. I really don't even know how they even came to this conclusion. Probably because of how people are claiming that he's a danger to himself and others, and that's what people see schizophrenia as. But like I've said in videos where I've talked about this, real schizophrenia is really a spectrum anyway. There's really different branches. At the top, you could be a schizonarc, where you're pretty much just about a quote-unquote narcissist, as people like to say. There's also a part of the spectrum where all the person really can do is sit around crying and having flashbacks all day. So much I could say about it, but schizophrenia isn't what people think it is, but people really need to stop throwing labels around anyway. It's honestly just really annoying. Like, I'm really tired of hearing about who's retarded and who's slow and who's schizophrenic and who's bipolar, who's autistic and who has quote unquote ADHD and all this other mess. What makes you think that wait a minute, what makes you think that of all things? I also wonder if there's some racial motivation behind that comment. Having an interview on Soft White Underbelly generally isn't a good thing. They're not wrong though. Like, I really don't even understand why anybody in this situation would want to go on an interview unless they really don't get the ramifications and all of the thousands of risks with that, especially with the police. Like, it makes me wonder if some of these people are just being pushed to become like traumatized industry plants or something. Because you really should not be doing anything that could get you attention while you're supposed to be laying low till 18. It just doesn't make any sense to me. No manners, no respect. That's how you end up in trouble. I've been there. And that's because they weren't raised to have it. Like, to be truthfully honest, I do have to remember that I honestly am lucky that all the different, I don't know, word curses and stuff that were spoken over me, like how people in this comment section are doing to this boy, didn't end up working. Because the thing is, people in these types of situations, or people in general these days, really don't even get to know that they really have a purpose in life. But people in these situations especially, you already lose yourself and lose the parts of yourself that you're supposed to wait, and then you don't gain the parts of yourself that you're supposed to gain because you get stuck and regressed and all the different stuff that goes along with trauma and with having your character broken down and also having people speak bullcrap over you like these comments. So it's like you already don't really know yourself, and then you have people trying to talk you into thinking that you're a killer and you're a drug dealer and you're a thug and all this stuff. And it really just messes you up more and makes you go even more into a false identity that will make things worse for yourself. I'm praying for Billy that someone can turn his life around. There's that responsibility shift. Actually, watch Billy's way of walking and talking. I think he might be on the autism spectrum, meaning he is probably special needs. So, first of all, that special needs bullcrap. And it's like, people just have a real obsession with mental illness and throwing around labels here. Which, of course, is a part of the agenda to normalize mental illness. But anytime you do or say something in a way that people don't like, they have some label to throw at you, and they'll be like, "Oh, you're autistic. Oh, you're bipolar. Oh, you're schizophrenic. Oh, you're ADHD. You're ODD. You're OCD. You're uh, Fragile X syndrome." All that stuff. It's so annoying. But yeah. Why can't people just be themselves? Why do labels always have to come out? And with how the criteria for autism has been broken down, a lot of stuff has been taken away. Like, most of the people getting the autism label these days don't even really have a disability. Some people even say it's not a disability, but that really depends on which type you have. But I mean, I would say the way he talks could really have a lot to do with trauma, because there's plenty of people that talk in the way that he does because of trauma. Like, you can even get a stutter from trauma. Also, brain damage. Like, I know, obviously, I've always had a list, but I didn't actually always stutter. But that's another story. What else was it? Oh, yeah. So, in my Cash for Kids system playlist, there's this video of this one kid. He ended up dying, sadly, but he was in one of the Cash for Kids system school system branch placements, and whenever somebody would do something to him, and when he was mad or sad, he started stuttering really bad and wouldn't be able to talk. That was a trauma thing, but it can also come from the brain damage side. Not just the brain damage side of trauma, but the brain damage from, I don't know, the drugs, him getting hit by a car, all stuff that possibly happened when he got kidnapped. Different things could cause that. Getting in a car wreck can also cause autism, although real autism, is commonly caused by heavy metals and other biochemicals and stuff, but people don't like to hear that. And it's weird because people like to claim illnesses or throw illness labels, quote unquote illness labels, on people, but they don't want to hear about the cause because that's supposed to be offensive. I also noticed that most of the people doing all the talking for the autism community are people who barely even have autism, and probably really don't, but are just believing some bullcrap a doctor told them because they never could fit in because they're anointed or prophetic, or just because of some trauma symptoms, or both. And what this comment is probably like alluding to is that he needs to be locked up somewhere still. So still some Cash for Kids system stuff. And I kind of wonder though, because he has said that, like, when his mom got out of prison, she lied and said he was suicidal to get him locked up. Even though, really, to get somebody locked up in a Cash for Kids system placement, they don't really have to lie. They could just take you there and drop you off and you'll be locked up. They don't really have to say anything, but sometimes they do because they think they do. But anyway, since he was put in some mental health system placement, they have to give the kid some label and some drugs to get paid. So that means he probably does have some label, probably bad black boy with ADHD label, and he just doesn't know about it, because the insurance companies won't even pay them if they don't hand out a diagnosis, which is why they commonly diagnose everybody that comes in with bipolar or psychosis or something. But yeah, anyway, nobody needs more labels. You're already seen bad enough when you're in these situations, and treated bad enough. And I didn't even see this comment at first. I don't really know what they're talking about. I'll probably look for it to try to read the rest. It looks interesting. If we were in the old ages, 1800s, 1700s, Daisy would be gauged as a witch, probably would get hung. People in the old age were really harsh. I guess maybe they're talking about the situation with the grooming, which would make sense, but I don't really know because I'd have to read the rest.